established in 1972 by a guy called Bob Brinsmead. Now Bob turned 92 a few weeks ago, and he still lives on the property. He's very hands-on, very passionate about this place. And yeah, we've got almost 600 varieties of fruit, and we haven't slowed down, so we're a bit of a juggernaut. We keep going. So if you have a look to your left, you'll see some paddocks, and we just purchased that up next door. That's an extra 15 acres. And that has been earmarked for more fruit trees. Running cows on the moment, as you can see. And that forest down there at the bottom of the paddock, we've nicknamed that wild forest. Now that's a wildlife corridor, 25 acres of natural rainforest, and it extends all the way down to the Tweed coast, which is really great for our native animals to traverse up and down. Now if you look on top of that hill right in front of us, you'll see those palm trees up the top, and that's where Bob's house is. You see Bob most afternoons, very passionate, very hands-on, and for a man of 92, he's in excellent condition. He puts that down to almost 8 years of eating avocados every day. Alright guys, this is our dragon fruit, one of the largest crops of fruit on the property. Now as you can see on the left-hand side, we've got the old style wood. Now that wood is starting to break down, as you can see, and when we lose the wood, unfortunately we lose the whole plant. So we've come up with a conversion, and that's these concrete piles on the right coming up. Now concrete is obviously more sustainable, lasts longer, and the other change we've implemented, we've gone from horizontal planting, like the old wood, to vertical, and that's important because of the water. Now we're self-sufficient as far as water goes on the property, no town water at all, even through the cafe. It all comes from the springs and also the rain, and when it does rain, we want the water to get to the bottom of the property as efficiently as possible, and that's where we have a large catchment dam, essentially a holding tank or water tank. And from there, when we need to, we pump up to around 90,000 litres a day to irrigate. Alright, so dragon fruit, we've got around 8 varieties. And as far as pollination of dragon fruit, that's a nighttime thing, because as soon as the sun touches the dragon fruit flower, he immediately turns down and closes. And at night time opens up to this beautiful white flower about 40 centimetres across. Now because the bees are sleeping at night, we mainly rely on sugar gliders, microbats, moths, and other various nighttime insects to come out to pollinate our dragon fruit. And we've got around 8 varieties, 8 different colours. It's going to be a good dragon fruit year, I heard today at the briefing. Joe was telling me, lots of flowers on there. Alright guys, we're going to turn right up the hill in a second. And on our immediate right is what we call the Southeastern Asian Garden. Now we've got 3 main things in there. We've got lovey-lovey, we've got Malay apple, and probably one of my favourite fruits on the whole farm, the jackfruit. Now the jackfruit trees are an immediate right as we go up the hill. The jackfruit is the largest tree-bearing fruit in the world. Our record size is up around 49 kilos, the dwarf apple over 100 kilo mark. That's one piece of fruit, and that's the idea where the jackfruit can eat fruit. Now in my opinion, jackfruit should be a superfood because it's the only fruit in the world that has the whole food complex, so B1 and I2 the best 7 years. It also has loads of vitamin C, it's excellent for the digestive and all that, and also it's one of the most versatile fruits on the planet. I want to like that. It's that every part of the jackfruit is like can be used. Obviously the fruit, then we've got the seed which is located in the pod. Now that seed can be roasted or boiled and eaten, it can be stir-fried, put in curries, and then you have a stringy part that surrounds the fruit, which is well loved around the world by vegetarians. It has a very similar texture to meat. So for example, chefs around the world will cook that stringy part down in sauce for a couple of hours, add the same spices as they would to pulled pork, and they have a very healthy tenders. Here in our cafe we do the same, we have a vegetarian nachos, so our chefs cook the stringy part down in tomato-based sauce, and add that to the vegetarian nachos. Now guys, you're probably looking around and can see everything looking so green. Now that indicates healthy plant, healthy trees. It also indicates the iron content of the soil, and I'll touch on more of that in a minute. They're right inside. Now they're very sturdy, so they give us their dual purpose. They give us fruit, but they also offer excellent wind protection to the avocados, which are on our left-hand side at the moment. Now avocados, when they first fruit set, as these guys have, at this stage they're very vulnerable, having heavy winds or heavy rain. So these sturdy jackfruit trees offer an excellent wind buffer. Guys, check out the views with light coming up. This is pretty much my office, so I'm forced to look at this every day.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're looking at a few things down there, guys. Number one, Duranbah, which is well known for growing sugarcane. So that's your sugarcane down the valley. The other thing we're looking at is the Tweed Valley. And the other thing we're looking at is the largest volcanic crater in the southern hemisphere. And you can actually still see the eye with the shape. Now this erupted around 23 million years ago. And as it erupted, this basalt got squeezed out of the top like toothpaste. Now that happened to be high in iron. So when it hit the air, it oxidized and turned red. Now this is what we're famous for in the Caldera region, is this red volcanic soil, which is wonderful for growing just about everything in. Now the soil we're looking down the valley is in contrast to what we're sitting on right here. That's what we call river silt soil, quite brown, good for growing sugarcane and annual crop, but not so good for growing the longer term stuff like we do up here. Now that mountain range we're looking at is the border ranges, and it goes all the way back to Victoria. It connects with the Grampians. Now the highest peak there in the left is Mount Warning or Mount Wollumbin. Now that's a very significant area for our First Nations folk. It's also the first place the sun touches the east coast in Australia in the morning. And within this mountain range we're looking at, there is 4 World Heritage listed national parks. Surely it's God's country. By the way, if you ever get a chance, sunset over those hills, spectacular. Alright guys. 72 to 1992, and that's because avocados have always been the main thing, and still okay. We've got 20 different varieties. And I'll tell you my favourite Bob story. Now Bob brings me the guy who started this whole place. He first came to me when he was 12 years old. It was in 1948. And at the time, the Department of Primary Industries were leasing the part of the boxes we're driving them right now. And they were growing experimental aloes, bananas and mangoes. So Bob came here as a 12-year-old kid in 1948, tried an avocado for the very first time. 25 years later or so, they put the whole place up for sale, and Bob bought it the very same day. So that tells me, even as a 12-year-old kid, he knew his destiny, he knew what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. And that's exactly what he's done. 52 years now he's been farming in the same area, to the point now we have nearly 600 varieties of fruit, and we've had roughly around 6 million people produce. And I guess that's testament to what one man can do when he wants to change the world. Alright, back to the aloes guys. So we've got around 6,000 avocado trees. Off each tree each year we get around 600 kilos. It's a lot of avocados. But around 80% of what we grow here at Tropical Fruit World is used on the property. So in between fruit tasting, the fruit shop, the cafe, and also fruit production, where we end up making a lot of jams, drying fruits, etc. Yeah, around 80% of what we grow in here never leaves the property. So that means most of the time we don't have to worry about storage or transport, which is a luxury that most commercial growers can only dream about. Which also means we pick the fruit when it's ready to go, when it's ripe, full of nutrient, full of colour, full of flavour. You may notice too, we have some random pawpaw trees here at the avocados. Now these guys act as an excellent decoy for the fruit bat. Now a fruit bat loves to snack on an avo, but much prefer the pawpaw, being thin skinned so it's easy access, and also much sweeter. Now Bob's always said, we can't fight nature, everyone needs to eat, but we can certainly train the locals. Alright guys, this is a great vantage point. So have a look up to your left and you see next door's dairy farm. And that's exactly what we were doing and Bob took over back in the day. A few cows, some fences and some grass. And from this point you can really see the difference between the private versus the two places and others. Now just to the right of the farm up there, that's a new exciting area. That's our part of the farm, so that's going to be our new tea garden. So we're going to grow fruit trees up there. But we're going to go on hedges so they don't fruit, so they just get a sleep, and that's going to leaf is going to supply our new tea lines. And there's a picture of Bob on the post as we pass, and he's a relatively young fella. Right, so we've got the Arctic Charles on your right guys. There's a special fruit from Bolivia. Translates as honey kiss, orange in colour, and you pop it open and inside there's a white fluffy ball, looks like cherry toss. And it takes between the orange and the lemon sorbet. Now right underneath this tree here, we're underneath the Linda avocado, the largest avocado on the farm, up to 2 kilos per fruit. And then on our left, we've got all our bananas. We've got 12 varieties. Now they range from your plain old Cavendish, we've got lady fingers, sugar fingers, super fingers, blue javas, red jackers, and different plantains. All different shapes, colours and sizes. Now this tree on our left is called Old Man Meadow. It's the original tree owned by the DPI. So that's 84 years old, that tree, and last year 600 kilos of fruit off it. So I guess the moral of the story, age is no barrier. Tree's 84, both 92, both going strong. Many years to come, I hope. Alright, so we've got some healthy trees coming up. The first one on the left is called the noni. Now the noni fruit is also known as the vomit fruit. It's because it's got a particular pungent, old mouldy cheese smell, but it's extremely healthy for us. It does clean ourselves from the inside out. And then we've got the moringa on the right. Now the moringa is known as the tree of life. That's another super healthy tree. It provides a human being with some. Alright, so we've got the ananas on your right. Now the ananas are a winter fruit, so we've just had a prune off them about a month ago. Now they consist of custard apples, rosinhas, and also sour sops. And then we've got some macadamias on the left coming up. Macadamias were known as a Hawaiian nut around the world for many years. That's because Hawaii claimed the macro as their own, but as soon as we found out about that in Australia, we sent a couple of scientists to Hawaii who then genetically traced the macadamia, Hawaiian one, all the way back to Grafton. So it's definitely an Aussie native. Alright, so we've got some mango trees coming up on the left. We've got 17 varieties of mangoes on this farm. Would you believe there's over 1,000 in the world? Now just talking to Bob the other day about these trees, he reckons that as long as we get very little rain until November, that's the key for a good mango year. So as you can see, there's a lot of fruit on this, fruit set on this. Now if we get no rain or no heavy rain for the next 2 weeks, all those tiny little mangoes will be strong enough to hang on through the heavy rain and heavy wind. So, and it has been a few years since we've had a good mango year. Now, probably like you guys, I grew up in the KP mango, the Kensington Pride. I used to think that was the number one mango in the universe. But after working here, that's been relegated to probably number 6 on my list. So hopefully we have a good mango year. You guys come back in January, December and pick them up yourself. This is what we call the South Pacific garden, guys. We've got mostly our citrus down here, oranges, mandarins, mangelos and tangerines. And we also grow cassava root, which they make tapioca flour from. And the other one we got is the taro root. Now if you look to your left, you'll see a structure that contains our 10 varieties of passion fruit. Now we do have around 27,000 trees on the property, and would you believe, 2 blokes that do all the picking and 95% of it by hand. But they love passion fruit, Dave, because when they're ready, they simply drop to the ground, the boys come along with a bucket. Easy peasy. Alright, so we're going to chuck a left now, and on our right we've got some coconut trees. And as we turn left, on your right is the experimental dragon fruit garden. Now this is where we do a lot of our trials. We trial for pests, we trial for disease, and we've also crossbred the genetics down here of the dragon fruit. And they've come up with a pink panther, which in my opinion is the best dragon fruit in the world. It's quite small but full of flavour. Alright, so right hand side we've got our cherries. All sorts of cherries from around the world, way too warm for Australian cherries. And we've got a miracle berry after that. Now miracle berry is a very strange one, it's from Ethiopia. I've got no idea how Bob even found this one. But the miracle berry will flip your taste buds 180 degrees. So once consumed, it takes about 1 minute to work and about an hour to wear off. So what it does, it inhibits the sour receptors in our taste buds. So you cannot taste sour. Happily bite into a lemon or a lime and only taste the sweetness. Then we got the finger lime, one of 3 native Australian citruses here on the right, also known as caviar lime. Now once you cut it open you'll see why. It's got beautiful jewel-like insides resembling caviar. Now this goes excellent with seafood, especially oysters, also great in salads. Also well prized or well desired in the cocktail world. It's got great aesthetics and makes a good gin and tonic. And back in the day, our indigenous folks, they got any cuts or wounds, would use the finger lime to cleanse their wounds out with. Then we've got our little baby citrus trees on the right coming up. Now these guys are about 2.5 years old, so next year will be the first fruit crop we get off them. 3 types. We've got calamansi, we've got bergamot, and we've got lemonade. We've got the Indian part of the garden coming up on the right, first one being tamarind. Now tamarinds are small sour fruit, mostly used at sour milk and curries and stir fries, used a lot in Thai cooking as well. The hog plum after that. Now the hog plum is also known as ambrella, also known as cornet mango. Now this was discovered by our first settlers through the Pacific Islands. And the reason they called it the hog plum was if the king or the queen was visiting from England, she'd always have to stop, or they'd stop at the islands to replenish. And they were going to stop there, they'd feed the pigs the ambrella before the king got there, and then of course roast pork. Taste sweet and fat them up. The sapodilla, first of the sapodies. Sapodilla is also known as chiku, one of the highest fruit sugars in the world. Tastes delicious, of course, brown, pear rolled in brown sugar. Then we got the casanora, also known as white sapodi. It's a delicious fruit, but also makes a great sleepy time tea from the leaves. It turns out to be about 5-6 times as potent as chamomile. And of course that's going to be one of our fruit trees in the new tea garden. The black sapodi, also known as chocolate pudding fruit. You guys would have had that today. And then probably my favourite, sapodi, the mammy. The mammy's bright orange inside. Second most nutritious fruit in the world. And tastes a little bit like pumpkin pie or maybe maple syrup drizzled on sweet potato. Fruit in the world is, right? It starts with an A, there's a B in the middle, and there's an O on the end, but that's all the clues you get. Right hand side coming up. Pretty exciting part of the garden really. So it's the hottest part of the whole garden. As you can see it's quite sun drenched. So what we've done here is we put really thick mulch down. Now that in turn is trapping heat and moisture on the hill, which in turn is creating a bit of an ultra-tropical environment. So then we're having a crack at things like the breadfruit, the purple mangosteen, the cacao, the durian, the rambutan, and the tesia. Now all these trees normally would only grow north of Cairns. They need that real high humidity. But look, we're always thinking outside the box here at Tropical and trying new things. And we're super proud of the cacao. That's been a success. So we'll be the first people in New South Wales to grow cacao commercially. And that means in the pipeline, Tropical Fruit World Chocolate. Very exciting. Alright guys, this is what we call stop 2. I'll pull over in a sec. We'll jump out, eat a banana or two, perhaps some macadamias. So we've got the blue java on the left, that's the cooking banana. And what you do is you cut it with the skin on, and you put it in curries, and then it releases the and you also iron into the curry. Alternatively, you wait for the blue java to go yellow, and then it turns into what we call the ice cream bananas. Similar tasting and smell, and texture of ice cream. Now the Japonicaba tree, coming up on the left, that's a really interesting tree. This one looks good. It's what we call coliferous. Now coliferous means that the fruit grows straight through the bark in singular form. Now we've got the santol on the left after that. Now the santol is a Filipino fruit. And then the canistel on the left. And canistel is also known as cheesecake fruit. And on our right is the coffee tree. So 75% of the coffee grown in Australia is on right here in the Northern Rivers. Yeah. Alright guys, so coming down the hill on the left, you'll see there's an old truck with a lot of hives on the back. They're mostly our Russian variety. We do have around 8 million bees total on the property, 4 million. A lot of names Australian stingless guys, and the other 4 million are the Russian variety. We get most of our honey with the Russian ones. Now we're just about to enter the Chinese part of the garden, or the Chinese garden. Now left hand side, we've got relative of the lychee, first one being the longan. Now the longan is also known as dragon. And there's my 3 best mates in the paddock today, the donkeys. We'll see in a sec. Yeah, they're having a day off penny zoo today, so they have one day in the penny zoo, one day in the free range paddock. Alright, so then we've got the Bonky further along on the left. Now that's another relative of the lychee. It's a little tiny version of the longan, I guess. It's got a lemon flavour. And then on the right, we've got our 8 varieties of lychees. Now, lychees are a Chinese fruit that have been grown over 5,000 years. And lychee season traditionally starts on Boxing Day here and goes only for about 3 weeks. So it's a very short, sharp season. But it is a case of the brightest stars being the shortest. Now if you look above our lychees, you'll notice a netting structure. Now a huge storm around 10 years ago blew the net away. And now Bob, always thinking outside the box, instead of re-netting, which would have been a huge job, decided to cut the middle of the lychee tree out. Now that reduced the lychee tree to under 4 metre height. And the reason we wanted to do that was because of the fruit bat. Now a fruit bat has a large wingspan and he needs at least 4 metre clearance. So the end result is that the bat's not landing in the trees anymore, which means he's not eating our lychees, which is a great result for us. Now if you look to your left, you'll see one of our 5 dams. We've got 5 dams and 7 streams. And behind that dam is that 25 acres of natural rainforest we talked about before. Again, we're not trying to fight nature, everyone needs to eat, but we can certainly train the locals. So the bats now are going over to that 25 acres and they are feeding off a lot of the native fruits and the nuts in that forest area. Okay guys, this is the start of flying class. So I'll pull over here, we'll all jump out and we'll go through a net of animals.
Honey, look at the turtle over there.
It's a beautiful part of the farm down here. It's home to a lot of native wildlife. Keep your eyes peeled. There's plenty of those eastern long-necked turtles sitting around. They're pretty cool. They live for about 18 years. They grow up to the size of a dinner plate. Now these ducks in front of us, they're actually not native. They're our Indian runner ducks and they live in the corner park. Actually sleep in the chicken coop overnight with the chicks. Let's go for a bit of a roam to the canal to the daytime. front of us, that's the island destination of our cruise. I'm going to do a loop around it and we'll wind up with that dock just off to the other side. To the left of us, it's our main bush tackle garden. So we grow the majority of the native fruits on the farm. On the right, you can see some of the activities we have on the island. Basketball court, flying fox. Behind the flying fox, there's some mini putt-putt golf.
So we've got the avocado trees here to buy. Dragon fruits. Grafted citrus. Mandarins, imperial. Oranges. Finger limes. Olives, tropical peach, dwarf mulberries, awesome, blueberries, mulberries here, nuts over here, lychees, mangoes. Awesome macadamia.
I wonder what that tastes like. What does that taste like, right?